Hey there, Shalini Mittal here from Tech Gatha, and let's understand how to create list, how to traverse from a list, and the various ways that you can create a list. I'm going to create a new file with the name as listdemo.py. For creating a list, we use the syntax of square brackets and lists are mutable. So we will see what do you mean by mutable. So if I want to create a list to store numbers, I can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and there is no limitation as to how many values you can store in a list. If you want to print, I can just say print numbers. If you want to display values one by one, the way we did in string and tuples, we can say for every value n in the numbers list, I want to print the value of n. If I run this, you would see I'm able to get the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 when I print the list, or else I'm able to even print it on the separate lines. You can also traverse using index. So I can say for, so before that let's see, I can say print length of numbers. So when I say print length of numbers, it provides me the number of elements in a list, that is 5. I can iterate using this length function getting the index. So I can say for I in range of length of numbers. So what is length of numbers? Length of numbers is 5. It goes from 0 to 4. I can say print numbers of I. So you have scenarios, say for example, when you want to search for a particular value in a list and you want to get the position of that list. You will need to traverse and you will need to get the values at the particular index. So you can see it's able to display the values 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 if I do it using the range and the index, or even if I do it using the normal for n in numbers. So whatever we learned about indexing in tuples and strings starts from 0, goes to length minus 1, holds true for list as well. Now the various ways that you can create list are, I can create an empty list by saying L1 is equal to list. So there is a predefined list class available which I can directly say L1 is list. So if I print type of L1, you would see it does prints list. I can create a list which can store different values. So there is no hard and fast rule that you have to store only integers or values of similar type. You can have values of different types as well. But if you want to perform some operations in a list, it makes sense to have values of similar type to be able to perform operations on the values stored in the list. I can even create list from a sequence. What it means, say for example, I say vowels equals to list of, and if I print vowels, see, I get a list of vowels. Now this is a list of characters or list of string where every value is a particular character of a vowel. So you can even create list using from a sequence. You can ask the user to enter a list. So I can say equal to list input enter 5 prime numbers. I am not writing the logic of verifying if it's a prime number or not. I am assuming my user is smart and he or she is only going to provide me with the prime numbers. So say 5, when you run it this way, I say enter 5 prime numbers. So I can say So 3, 5. So basically it's actually takes only one digit. So when you do it this way, if you are expecting one digit in a list to be one element, in that case you can do it using this. Alternatively, I can say, for example, I want to say even numbers, and I have a function eval, and I can say input enter 5 even numbers. And now if I print even numbers, see, I enter prime numbers. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I want to enter 5 even numbers. I'm using an eval function, so I can directly use the square bracket syntax. 2, 4, say 12, 20, 100. So I get a list of 5 numbers. Here you would see when I enter 5 prime numbers, even though I'm expecting numbers, they are basically converted to string. So this is the drawback when you do it this way. But when I here use the eval function, I'm directly able to provide the list of values using the square bracket syntax. When you talk about immutability, when you talk about mutability, means we say that the list is mutable. So I can say even numbers of 2 equals to say 200. So now if I print even numbers, as opposed to tuples where it gives an error when I'm trying to update or change a value at a particular index, here it does work. And I enter 5 even numbers. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you can see initially it's 2, 3, 6 at 10. And when I modify the value at index 2 with 200, I am easily able to change the values in the list. This is what do you mean by mutability, and it changes the value in place. It doesn't create a new list. So it actually modified my original list. Hence we say that lists are mutable. You can even create nested lists. So say for example, I can say marks, and I want to store marks of 2 students for 5 subjects. So first list represents marks of first student in 5 subjects. So maybe I say 80. It's out of 100. This is for 1 student. Same way I can go on and create. So marks of 0. This whole list is at index 0. This is at index 1. This is at index 2. So the way this nested list is created, I am going to have a list where every row represents marks of a student. So this is student 1, this is student 2, and this is student 3, where I have 5 columns. For student 1, the marks are 80, then the marks are 90, then the marks are 85, and so on. Same way for student 2, of course we are going to modify these values. For student 2 you will have different values. For student 3 you will have different values. Now because list works on indices, here also I have at 0 index marks of first student. So 0 index represents 1 row, 1 index represents second row, 2 index represents first row, and in first row at 0 index I have marks of first subject for student 1. At index 1, marks of second subject for student 1, and so on I go for 4 subjects. So if I want to access this particular cell is at row 0 and column 2. Same way, if I want to access this particular cell, this is at row 2 and column 3. So the way you access is you first go in a row and then you go inside that specific column. So let me change the values. Okay. Now if you see, if I say print marks of 0, right? So as you see over here, marks of 0 gives you first row. So it should ideally print this. Okay, let me comment out the previous part. So we can just focus on the nested list. So you can see marks of 0, 80, 90, 85, 95 and 96. Now if I say print marks of 0, so I need to go in first row and then I need to access value at index 2. So first row is this 0, 1, 2, it should print 85. Now if you want to iterate over all the array, you of course cannot do it this way. So to iterate in the nested list, I can say for row in marks. So I get the first row. First row is again this list in which again I can iterate and I can say for column in row, and then I can print column and I'll say end equal to an empty space and then I'll say print. So we have seen patterns in loops. So if I run it again, you would see it displayed a particular kind of tabular syntax wherein it's in the tabular format. First row displays marks of first student, second row for second student, third row for third student. You can even do this. So I can say range of length of marks, print marks of student, whatever the value of row is, and I'll say marks of row. So now if I run, so see marks of student, okay, it prints 0. Let me make it row plus 1. So marks of student 1, marks of student 2, and then I have marks of student 3. So this is how you will be able to iterate over the nested list. With this we come to an end of this video. Next video we are going to see the various operations that you can perform on a list. Till then, happy learning, take care and bye-bye.